Your biggest take yet. What's up?
All right. I would like to debate you, if you may, on masks, lockdowns, and I will go get into vaccine passports, but I want to focus more on those other stuff and whether COVID is truly serious, whether the justifications can stand for all this,
For vaccinations and everything?
not
Because I've
just
been arguing
vaccine
more about the
mandates.
vaccines.
Yeah,
Um,
I know, but
as
I'd
far
like
as
to.
lockdowns, I know I've seen like mixed shit on that. I know that like there are some arguments to be made that lockdowns actually aren't as effective. So I don't know. I'm not really too concerned in getting in the argument about that, to be fair. But as far as like the vaccine, generally speaking, like is it safe? Should people get it? I'm fine talking to you about that. And also like
Yeah,
masks too. Like yeah,
yeah.
masks work. Like
Yeah,
yeah.
both
So
and or lockdowns. Yeah, not just the vaccine because you've been doing that the last couple of days. I've been watching you, and I do have some hot takes. Like I 100% disagree with you on vaccine mandates, and I probably disagree with you on mask mandates and even lockdowns.
okay. And then you also wanted to talk about whether or not it's truly serious.
Yeah, yeah.
What about like the 700,000 people that have died from it?
To be honest, I think the numbers are inflated. But even if they weren't, if you were to calculate the percentage of people who've died compared to the U.S. population, it'd be a lower percentage. And there are things such as heart disease and car accidents that take more American lives than COVID,
Well,
and
of
yet we don't go
course,
around
but COVID is
severely restricting driving or trying to get people not to be obese. And in fact, if you try to do that,
we
you'd be
do
accused of
actually.
having
We
a
do
drug.
restrict certain people from driving in certain places. We restrict people from driving under the influence of like
Yes, I
alcohol.
know.
So we do restrict some of that also to protect
I
the
know, but we
general
don't
safety.
ban it entirely. And to be and I
Well,
have
we're not
opinions
banning
on
anything. People just have to get the vaccine to take a general preventative measure in order to participate in society. Like
no,
if they
I
want to be super
completely
spreaders, then that's going to come with the consequences of their own actions, which
okay.
is, well, then you might not be able to go to Chipotle or whatever. Sorry, man.
Okay, first of all, COVID-19 has a around 99% 99% survival rate.
That's only if
75%
you're
of
young and
Americans.
healthy, not for the people that are older and at higher risk.
I know older people more at risk, but guess what? They can take the vaccine. I'm not against people taking the vaccine. And about 75% of Americans have already taken at least one dose. And isn't that the number of herd immunity?
No, it would need to be more than one dose, first of all. Only 50%
The
is taken.
goalposts keep on shifting. Yep, I know, I know.
No, everyone's known it's been two vaccines now. Since it's been rolled out, it's been two vaccines. And we only have 54.9% of the country that's fully vaccinated. We would need 70 to 90% in order to reach herd immunity. So no, this isn't
Okay,
moving any goalposts. This is just how facts work.
I say that because when this all began in March of 2020, we were told it was 2 weeks to slow the spread or 2 weeks flatten the curve.
Do you think it's
And look where
possible
we
that
are
with
now.
yeah, do you think it's possible with a developing pandemic that maybe the originally thought information, the way that we thought we were going to handle that may have changed?
So I'm skeptical of the official narrative. No, I think this is just a power grab like 9/11. You, but
So
how
it's just
9/11
a
was a
power
tragedy.
grab. Can you help me? Can you
Yeah,
walk me through this a little bit? What power? What like is the government's
the
goal to get us
power.
all
Oh,
wearing
the
masks and
power. Wait,
vaccinated? I
hold
don't
on.
understand.
No, the power to need to show papers to go to Chipotle. Did we do that for measles or polio or other serious diseases, or needing to
I mean,
cover
it's
your face
well,
whenever you
no,
step
because
out of your
we
house?
didn't really have people that were stupid and brain dead that were refusing to get the vaccine back then. I don't know. I mean, when it comes to
Well,
the
I already.
vaccine, when it comes to the vaccine passports, showing a piece of paper again, private businesses are allowed to require that. This isn't even the government.
I
This would be a
oh, I'm not
private
a
business
private
doing this.
company simp. I am anti-capitalist. I'm a populist. No, I completely reject that. But anyway, I already reject the
Well, you can
premise
reject
that
it all you want, but
COVID-19
it's
is the next
how the
black.
system. Well, okay, even if you're a populist and you have your own little like utopia world of when we all abolish capitalism and everyone lives happily ever after, it doesn't matter. The current system right now is that private businesses have a right to mandate vaccines. They have a right to ask you for a vaccine passport before entering their business, just the way that they are able to ask you
I want
to
to
wear
end that.
clothes.
I want to end it. No, no, I do not like the comparison between masks and clothes. No, it's normal to wear clothes. It's never been normal to mandate masks across the
It
planet.
hasn't always been
This is a
normal to
power
wait,
grab
what? It
because
hasn't
if
always
you.
been normal to wear clothes? What do you mean? Do you know about human evolution?
Oh my God, here we fucking go. That was here we fucking go. No, No.
That's
Apples and
also doesn't
oranges.
mean anything. It means that businesses are allowed to require that you wear clothes. Some people might not want to wear a
Okay,
fucking shirt.
that's
Some people
reasonable.
might be uncomfortable. So it's
There's a
reasonable.
line, you
Why?
know.
Why is that reasonable and the
There's a
vaccine thing isn't?
line. There is a line, buddy. This is not comparable. Not
How so?
comparable.
Tell me why.
Now, first of all, I
Wait,
already
no, no, no,
reject the idea
no, no, no. How is it not comparable?
between mandating masks and mandating clothes.
If I walk
Private
up to
business doing that.
Chipotle, why is it
Yeah.
across the line for them to say, "Hey, you gotta have your vaccine in order to come in," but not again or not crossing the line? If I go up to Chipotle and they say, "You gotta be wearing a shirt before entering the building,"
Wait, wait a minute. Hold on. Let me get something clear. Let me get something clear, please. I fail to see how it's fair for businesses to both require masks and then also and because of that require vaccine cards.
that's not answering my question. If they're able to ask you to wear a shirt
Mm-hmm.
before entering their premises, why are they not also able to ask you that you wear a mask or if to see that you're actually
It's a
vaccinated?
slippery slope. Isn't this a slippery slope?
No. What do you mean? No, they're protected classes to make sure that businesses aren't discriminating on the basis of like race or religion. You wouldn't be able to walk up and be like, "Yeah, no white Christians allowed, sorry."
Okay.
But
I
when it
know.
comes to actual vaccine status, yes, they're allowed to ask for proof of vaccination.
I want
They
to
have a
end that.
responsibility with their with other customers and with their employees to do so also.
Sorry, but I don't believe COVID's like the Black Death. And because people believe that it's this deadly disease that's going to kill us all, if we don't do all this, they can justify all this tyranny. If you went up to a person 2 years
You
ago
haven't
and
explained
said,
how
"Hey,
it's
we're gonna,
tyranny. You
hey,
haven't even explained how this is a power grab. Like
this is,
all we've had is
dude,
like
this should be
private businesses mandating vaccines. Spooky.
this
Like,
should
can we
be
get
intuitive, buddy. But okay, I guess I have to
the fact that you're
explain how
appealing to
we need to show
intuition shows
papers
that you're
whenever
being
you step
very,
outside your
very
house.
brain dead throughout this conversation. We've only been talking for 7 minutes, but okay.
Shut the fuck up, Hunter. Shut the fuck up about
You
your
are.
ad hominems.
It's not an ad hominem if you actually are just blatantly being brain dead here. You come on here and
Yeah,
say that
whatever, buddy.
you're saying it's not a big deal. I don't even think it is. It's a big deal. You know what? It's not normal to think that COVID isn't a pandemic. Okay, if it's not normal to mandate vaccines, it's also not normal to think that COVID is not a real thing
Why? Why do you believe
because
the
it's
official narrative?
contrary to because the quote unquote official narrative is grounded on research and data and has logical explanations for virtually everything, whereas your solution is, or your narrative is what exactly? Why are they trying to grab the power? Can you help me out? Why do they want power? What power? What are they gaining from doing this?
Needing to show your papers whenever you step out to your house. Every little movement you
It's not
make
whenever
is
you step out of your
immediately
house.
tracked.
Let's not be hyperbolic here. Let's stick
Okay.
directly
When
in what we're talking about
you
here.
go into businesses, then is that
Hmm.
fair?
Yes. The business is doing that, not the government.
Well, okay, fine. You know what? I'll concede. Private business can do what they want. Can we move on?
Yeah, but then you have to kind of, with that, acknowledge that this isn't really a power grab, right?
Well, the thing is, governments have been mandating mask mandates, even vaccine mandates, like Biden's ones from the federal government. Obviously, it's not a private business.
Well, the
That's
federal
the
government
government.
has the. Well, I was just in my conversation with the other girl. With the federal government has OSHA, which I said to BX Billet also. I'm aware that that is a legal gray area, but they are using OSHA, which, as far as I'm concerned, has some precedent to, make sure that workers are safe.
We need
That's
to
their
undo that precedent, or
okay.
whatever you said.
It's just
We
you're
need
not
to
able
undo
to.
that.
So can you tell me why? Why shouldn't people get the vaccine?
It's not my business whether someone chooses to get vaccinated or not to get vaccinated. I don't. I'm not concerned about why or why not people don't want to get vaccinated.
I'm concerned about why you think that it's like a massive power grab, and like it sounds like you've gone completely off the deep end here.
Buddy, I don't want to have to every time I go to a business because the government said so. Not because if it was just left up to private businesses, maybe a couple would want to do that and fine, whatever. But it's the government saying, for example, in New York, the Keys to NYC program. Have you learned about that? That's from the city government saying to private businesses, you must ask patrons to show a vaccine card.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, we'd have to look, but the odds are they have the right to do that. Like when we look at the court
If they
precedent, when it
do, even if they do, I want to strip that away from them because I
okay.
want more liberty for people,
Well, see, this
more
is the problem is
prosperity.
this is what happens when you put like now don't get me wrong. I think that liberty and freedom is very important, but like people
Mm-hmm.
also in
Yeah.
order to have freedom effectively, you have to be like generally safe from disease, from murder, and you have to have the ability to live your life freely from being a victim, right? There's positive freedoms and there's negative freedoms.
I know, but I've said before, COVID-19 is a 99% survival rate. The older are affected, but they can then take the vaccine,
So is
and
it a
thus they're
pandemic for
protected.
older people or is that a lie and a power grab just to get older people?
But again, I said I don't care why people. I don't care why or why not people get the vaccine. If someone legitimately
I'm not
believes,
asking you that. You made the claim that this was a power grab originally. So, and you also said that you think the numbers are inflated and that the pandemic really isn't that anything to be worried about. So I'm
yeah,
asking you, do you think the pandemic is real among older people?
is it real? Yeah, of course, the disease affects them and can also
And
affect
is it a
young people, of
power
course.
grab for just older people then? Like, where's the
No,
power grab here?
it's the vaccine mandate. Just that we fundamentally disagree on what you think is a power grab. I think mandating
What are they
vaccine
grabbing power
papers
from?
is.
How is that giving them how is that giving the government more power? You realize that like doesn't the government benefit from like a stronger economy by requiring vaccine mandates? You risk hurting the economy by people who are like, dumb fucks and don't want to get vaccinated, not going into these
Uh,
businesses.
wait,
And so
wait, how? How?
because you have less people shopping and usually if you have less people purchasing goods that can cause issues with the economy like what we saw over the past
Oh,
year with
oh,
the pandemic.
Hunter,
So
it was the media and the government that initially told people COVID-19 is so serious. Stay inside. Wear your mask. Take take your
mhm.
vaccine when it's immediately available.
So where's
No, the
how is that
government
then
and the
power
media
grabbing? I don't understand how that's power grabbing though. And
by making everyone afraid of the virus.
I'm trying to explain to you that the federal government benefits
Hmm.
more from a positive and well-functioning economy. So if the government was trying to make more power or get more power, it doesn't actually make sense that they would prevent people from working, prevent people from shopping, and basically lead to an economic crash. That doesn't actually lead to more government power at the end of the day. So that's all I was trying to say there. But please try to explain to me how this is a power grab.
Excuse me. But if you can't see that needing to show your papers, again, there's premises that
Aren't
there are
you in
premises
favor of
that you and
like
I don't
aren't you
share.
in favor of like IDs to vote?
Uh, yeah.
Is that a
Wait,
power
yeah.
grab?
Wait. Oh, wait. You know what? Explain to me. Why aren't you in favor of voter ID, but are in favor of needing to show a paper to go to a restaurant?
Well, I'm
Explain
in
that
favor.
to me.
Let me explain
That's
to you. Sure.
curious.
So the
Because there are
difference is
several countries
the
that
the main
require ID for
problem with the
voting.
voter ID thing is that when it comes to voting, that is a fundamental American right. And whenever you put things in like potential barriers in the way there, that can have serious adverse consequences. So the reason people tend to be against voter ID specifically is because oftentimes, and we have seen this historically, Republicans particularly because they tend to be racist, they try and implement a lot of these voter restrictions or these voter ID laws in ways that negatively affect black people because sometimes since black people are poorer, they have less access to the necessary facilities in order to get that license. Whereas,
Okay,
wait, hold on. Whereas when we're
let's make it
talking,
free.
hold on, wait. Whereas when we're talking about the vaccine, it is free and available to everyone. And Biden, thankfully, is even investing in some of these more rural areas to make sure that they have access to the vaccine as well. So that's why I'm in favor of it. These are two fundamentally different things. Also, lastly, voter fraud, not really a thing. It's mainly just a conservative wet dream. Whereas people getting sick from COVID, that kind of is a thing, yeah.
Okay, I'm in support of making IDs free. If you want to get a driver's license or a state ID, you should be able to get it easily. That's fine because ID is useful for other things. But again, I don't see why you should be able to show that ID to go to a restaurant or something like that.
Because maybe the business says, hey, we want to make sure that if you're coming in here, you're not risking other patrons and our
It's a
employees. So we
government
want to make sure.
mandate. It's
So
not
maybe the
just some private
government's
business
saying,
doing
make
something
sure that
kindly.
you, so maybe the government's saying, make sure that you are protecting your employees and fellow patrons. And also, if you really want to get back to the economy, if you want the economy to come back, if you want things to go back to normal, we do that by getting vaccinated. That's the first step in doing that.
Okay, and a lot of people have gone vaccinated. Why aren't we back to normal?
Because not enough people have gotten vaccinated, and we still have a lot of dumb fucks that spread misinformation and won't get vaccinated for the most dumb reasons imaginable.
What percentage would be accepted to you? 90, you said? You said
Yeah,
that earlier.
probably if 90% or more were vaccinated, I'd be pretty good. That'd be pretty good, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And right
And
now
what
we have
about for
54.9%.
4% fully vaccinated, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even believe. Again, I
It's
don't even
because
believe.
here's the thing is my solution ultimately leads to less death and more people having the freedom to live their life. Whereas your solution is more, let's just let people die, more or less, because freedom comes first. This isn't a zero-sum game. This is about getting vaccinated so that we as Americans and everyone else can live their lives freely. This is like a joint effort here. So yeah, I just reject this whole like they shouldn't be mandated anyway, blah blah blah. Like you need to tell me why, because I'm able to explain to you that the vaccines are effective in preventing COVID and they are good. So with that, I'm able to also say not getting that vaccine is pretty silly. Like I would have liked it if we didn't have to get to this mandate part. I wish that people would have just fucking gotten vaccinated.
Oh, I'm doing this for your own good, bro. I didn't want to do this, bro. It's as if, no, buddy.
Yeah.
Because the reason why I don't want the vaccine to be mandated is because COVID-19 is not that deadly. Again, 99% vaccine mandate survival rate, and therefore, by imposing all these mandates, you're just taking away their freedom. Because oh no, some people might still die.
What
Even
freedom
with
are they
all
really
this
taking away, though? Your freedom to not be vaccinated, I guess? In order
your
to...
freedom to be able to smile freely in a restaurant without having to show a paper first. That is no
No, it's
masks and no
about not
vaccine
being
passport.
vaccinated, ultimately. So really it would come down to, well, then
Okay,
why do you not want to get
problem,
vaccinated? Yeah, why do you not want to
problem.
get vaccinated?
Not your fucking business. Got a problem, dude?
It is my business because it affects me and millions of other Americans, so I do have a problem, yeah. So
If you're
why?
that much of a germaphobe, cry more, honestly.
This isn't a
Again,
germaphobe thing.
you're
This
protected.
is a... You realize that by people who aren't vaccinated, they raise the risk of breakthrough infection and mutations, right? Like, this is why it's
Oh
important
yeah,
for
the
everyone to
narrative.
get...
This is another part of the goalpost movie. Oh, there's this new variant, and now we need to mandate the vaccine and continue mask mandates. But
Uh-huh.
sorry, I don't accept the narrative. Sorry.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, if you want to live in your own little safe space bubble away from the real world, if you're like the real world's maybe too scary for your feelings, like I totally understand. Sometimes just did you ever see that Seinfeld episode, The Bubble Boy? Maybe you can be like him. Just stick in like a plastic room where nothing.
You're the one who wants to be the bubble doll.
No,
You're the
you're
one
the
who
one
wants to
that does.
continue the
No,
mask
you're the one
mandate
who
and the vaccine
rejects the
mandate
official
because you're afraid of
fact-driven
the virus,
narrative
even though you're
because
fully
you're too
vaccinated.
scared of stepping out of your safe space. Do you need your mommy to take you to get the vaccine and then maybe get you like a milkshake afterwards? I know shots kind of hurt, like it's a little owie there, but they might give you a Spider-Man band-aid actually. So
The elitism and smugness is off the charts, buddy. Fuck you and fuck libtards like you. This is why I hate libtards and their smugness.
I mean, I'm kind of being smug because you're being incredibly stupid and you're also being condescending, which is funny. So it's like,
Yeah, cry
yeah,
about it. I don't care. You're my enemy. Why do I care whether you feel you're being condescended to?
I mean, I don't really see you as an enemy because, I mean, let's be real. You're like probably going to die from COVID. So for you, I'm not really as worried about.
Again,
But if
no,
you
I'm
see
not
me as
afraid
an
of
enemy,
COVID,
is it,
buddy. You can't
do you
use
see me
that.
as,
Sorry, not scared.
okay, cool. Do you see me as an enemy because I'm like, I dispel all your dumb fuckery? Like, is that why?
No, because you want a world where masks continue to be required. You want
No
a
way, dude.
world
I want
where
masks to be
you need a.
gone. That's why I want more people to be vaccinated. Are you kidding me?
Oh, really? And then, but not only that, you want people to be able to show their papers when they go anywhere.
Well, no, I would prefer that not be the case. Hopefully, if more people get vaccinated, that won't be necessary. We'll have herd immunity and enough people being vaccinated that you won't need to like ask to see. But when you only have 54% fully vaxxed, and then you have
Well,
like people that
Ah,
seem to
you.
be walking
Oh,
around on like, hold on, when
you
you have
still
people like
believe.
walking around in your country that seem to have like IQs at room temperature that are like, herder, I can't get the vaccine. The elites are trying to wipe us all out. Herder, like, yeah, you might actually have to make sure that like other people and people who are maybe at risk and people who are actually unable to get the vaccine for real reasons, you might need to make sure that those people are protected from like these like individuals with Neanderthal level thinking, you know?
Oh, you still believe that once we all get vaccinated, they'll remove the rules and that vaccine passports and mandates are only temporary. You actually believe the talking heads at CNN and the CDC.
Well, I mean,
There
what
is
do you
no
think?
hope for you, buddy.
What do you
Your
think is
brain
going
has
to
been
happen?
broken by 18 months of propaganda designed to
Yep.
spew whatever the federal government and the media tells you
I have been a I'm
because it
I've
gets you
literally
off,
have I told you
makes you
that I've
feel
been taken
smug and
over
high
by the
and
federal
mighty.
government actually? I'm a rare experiment. I am a government algorithm embodied in the form of an android. And all I do is regurgitate government talking points. It's strange too because it
Haha, very
happened right
funny.
after I took the vaccine.
Haha, very funny. You are doing that though because the plan is to make these vaccine mandates. The plan is
So what's the
to
goal
do
then?
these
Like
things.
help me understand, walk me through this. Like is it like ha ha ha, the evil plan is finally coming together. Now every time somebody wants to go to TGI Fridays, they'll have to show their vaccine passports.
Unironically, yes. Get rid of this
But
irony, these
but
layers of
why?
irony. Yes, that is tyrannical, buddy.
No, no,
If you
but
end up to
no. What's
strip
the
away the
point of that
irony, strip
happening
away the
other than just
smugness.
making sure that people are safe?
This isn't about safety. They will track your every move. They'll decide every little
Are you
thing you
trolling
do.
me right now?
No, the spontaneity of life has been stripped away from people. It is no longer theirs
You're
to
right,
live
man.
for
I
the
miss when you could just walk
bureaucrats.
outside and spontaneously get COVID because dumb fucks are too scared of getting a shot. I know, man. Where did life go, dude? Let's return to
You're
tradition, right?
protected. Why do you feel
Actually,
so afraid
hey,
of it?
question. Do you want to return to tradition? You know, we can go back to George Washington days when,
Eh?
you know, do we want to read about what George Washington had to say about anti-vaxxers? Because he was pretty strict on them. He actually was in support of vaccine mandates. So are you against, like,
I know he inoculated his army against smallpox. I've heard of that.
oh, did I say
But
against? Yeah,
COVID-19
he
is
was in
nowhere near as
favor of
serious
vaccine
as
mandates.
smallpox.
Yep, and he was strongly against anti-vaxxers. Yeah. He literally,
Buddy,
if I'm
those
not
are
mistaken, I
actual
think
serious diseases,
if I'm not
like
mistaken, I think
smallpox.
that George Washington was literally in favor of going door to door at people's house and like inoculating them. So, or maybe that was another
Like
time that happened in
citation.
America's history. But either way,
I'll look that up myself.
okay, go for it. Yeah, I can send you one um from Fox News if you'd like. I'll go ahead and
Okay.
read this to my little stream here. Why George Washington called for severe penalties for the anti-vaxxers of his time.
I think I found it.
Yeah.
3.
George Washington would disagree. The year after we declared freedom, the father of our country addressed the smallpox crisis by mandating smallpox inoculations for all of his soldiers. Accounts in the Library of Congress note defeating the British was impressive, but simultaneously taking on smallpox was a risky stroke of genius. So let's see. As Washington committed to the unpopular policy of mass inoculation, he faced resistance from politicians in Virginia who banned vaccine requirements and were proven to be on the wrong side of history. In a letter to his brother, Washington wrote, restraining inoculation can never be continued, and that he would support a law to compel families to inoculate every child under severe penalties if they don't. So there you go.
Okay, 2 things. COVID-19 is nowhere near as serious as smallpox, and he apparently only mandated it for the army and never
Well,
was
the
able
federal
to
government
pass a
doesn't
law.
have the right to just mandate it across the entire country, and that's not what we're seeing
Yeah,
happen
I know.
now.
We've said
So,
that
like,
before.
yeah,
They're
so
bypassing it by using OSHA and private companies.
George
The
Washington
merger of
mandated
corporation
vaccines
and
where he had
state.
the authority to do so, and it sounds like he was in favor of mandatory vaccines in a much more broad sense too.
Yeah, and I disagree with him with that then. Fine.
As the United States took off, so did vaccine mandates that were far more forceful than anything Biden is doing. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, officials went door to door inoculating people by force.
Yeah, I know. There's been similar campaigns before, except those diseases were actually serious. Smallpox, measles, polio, and it never went as far
I
as
mean,
to
I hate to
needing
bring up the anecdote, but
paper
like
for a
as someone,
restaurant.
I hate to bring up the anecdote, but like as
Never went
someone
that
who's,
far.
I hate to bring up the anecdote, but like as someone who's literally had like a grandfather who died from COVID, it's just kind of like, I know that you wouldn't be saying that if you were personally affected by this, or if you actually had the ability to read, you would be able to see that the fact that like COVID rates are off the charts. We have almost 700,000 deaths in this country from COVID. For you to come up here and say like, this isn't a big deal, this doesn't matter, blah, 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 just to justify the fact that I don't even know. I guess
Keep
you're still
clutching your
scared of like
pearls.
getting a shot. I
And thank
told
you
you
for
it.
admitting that's an
I'm telling you, dude,
an
it pinches
anecdote.
for only a second, but I promise you it gets better soon.
Keep being a smug bitch and keep clutching your pearls.
I'm going to
But thank
keep
you
being
for
a
admitting
smug
it's an
bitch because you're
anecdote.
being a smug bitch, but you're also incredibly stupid and wrong, which is what makes it more funny.
Now, I was going to say as well, there are religious and medical and even personal exemptions for uh, those vaccine mandates, like at school or something.
So, what are
You know
some?
that, right?
I know
And
that there
again,
are
these
some
vaccine
medical
mandates,
exemptions for the like 0.0002%
not
percent
just
of
medical, I
people.
said religious and even personal exemptions or philosophical ones.
So, what would be a
So like,
philosophical exemption? Why don't you give me that one first?
I don't know how. You know what? Let me look up a map of,
Because I
for
could give you
example.
one, and I can spell it too. A philosophical one could be maybe a vegan doesn't want to get the vaccines because they tend to be tested on animals. Maybe that goes against their philosophical beliefs or their principles. And what I would say to that is, unfortunately, that's a necessary evil. And, we can talk about that maybe at a later time. But right now, the way that medicine has to be tested, it has to be tested on animals before
Okay, I'm
humans.
not worried about that. Okay,
I'm responding
I'm just
directly to a philosophical contention. And then the medical
okay.
exemptions, if you have a literal medical exemption, fine. A religious exemption, not really a big fan of that. Don't really buy it.
Oh yeah, I
If your
know.
religion
Open
calls you
your
to
door.
die, then
I
I
know
would
you're
just
an
probably
atheist.
tell God to like, fuck off in that case and
I
just go get
know.
the
I'm
vaccine.
also tipping my fedora as well. All right.
Okay.
But anyway, previous vaccine mandates, because they've happened in the past, never went as far as to need to show paper for a restaurant. They never went that far, and these diseases, like smallpox, were a lot more serious.
It's why are you
Smallpox is a
so hung
higher
up
death
on like
rate.
showing a piece of paper? Do you lose paper a lot? Like, are you afraid that you're not going to be able to keep
Oh
track of
my god,
this? I mean, you're like, no vaccine before made you show papers. Okay, but vaccines before, they literally would go door to door, mass inoculating people against their will. What do you
oh,
want, buddy? What do
oh
you mean? Like, there have been far
I'm
worse things
against
than
that
just
too.
showing your papers. Honestly,
I'm against that.
you're being like a little bitch boy throughout this whole conversation. Like, you're clearly terrified of just getting a shot. I don't understand what it is. Like, you
Again,
you
it's
tell me
not
there are
your business.
philosophical, moral, religious reasons not to get it, and then I ask you for a single example, and you can't even give me one. I literally know your argument better than you know your argument, it seems.
All you have is being smug, buddy. That's
I haven't been
I'm
being
sorry, I'm
smug.
not
I've
being
been
intimidated.
correct, which is what's
If you
made this
think this is going to
funnier.
intimidate me, think again, buddy.
I don't think I'm intimidating you. No, I think that, I don't know what to think. Like, are you okay? Do you want to talk?
That's what we're doing right now, buddy.
No, like, do you want to like take a break from the debate? We can talk about it, man. Like, she'll text you back, bro. Don't worry. And honestly, like I said, when it comes to getting the shot, it's just doesn't hurt that bad. It's not that hard. I would just go for it if I were you.
Okay, good for you, but you're not
Washington would be
me. You're
proud,
not
dude.
other
George
folks.
Washington would be proud, okay?
Okay, whatever.
So yeah. Um what
You're
else
a
did you want to
tyrant.
say?
You're a goddamn tyrant. If you can't see how tyrannical it is to need to get an inoculation before you do anything, you're lost. You're just lost.
I
If
mean,
you
you
want to
don't need an
comply, that's
inoculation to do
fine. And I
anything. There
hate you
is an
for that.
exemption process, right? You can request
I don't know.
exemptions. Biden's new mandate has a whole process for requesting exemptions. In fact, he just clarified about the process for exemptions. We've seen exemptions rise with COVID mandates.
All right.
It seems
Yeah,
that
okay.
there are, hold on, because this directly defeats what you just said. It's clear that
Good.
exemptions happen, that they exist.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like I said, you
Yeah.
don't need to be mandated just for being an American citizen. But if you have to go get a job somewhere, it's only fair that in order to protect workplace safety, you can't spread a preventable disease to your coworkers, you know?
A disease that's just basically the cold but rebranded. Fuck
Yep.
off.
Yeah, right. But then why does the cold not kill 700,000 people a year? Could you explain that to me, please?
I already said that the deaths are inflated, but even if they aren't, that's still a small percentage of the overall American
Then
population.
why did the life expectancy in America go down with COVID? Could you explain that one to me,
I
please?
mean, Americans are generally unhealthy. We stayed at home for
So
months
why
on
did
end.
so it just happened to go down because what, more people were at home, or do you think it had anything to do with COVID and like an excess amount of deaths because of COVID?
Wait, please show this to me. I want to see this. Please show to me this.
Show you what
Citation.
exactly?
You said the life expectancy went down. I want to see this. I want to know
Yeah.
you're not talking about your ass.
Okay. The CDC's National Center for Health Statistics showed that life expectancy dropped from 78.8 years in 2019 to 77.3 years in 2020. COVID deaths accounted for nearly 75% of the decline. So there you go.
What website?
The CDC.
Oh, I found it, I think.
It's all over. It's being reported by virtually every single source. So U.S. life expectancy falls to lowest level in almost 20 years from Reuters, due to COVID specifically. So
I'll
could you
be
explain
looking
this
over this,
one to me,
but I
please?
think it might just because Americans they stayed home and thus they got fatter and then the life expectancy dropped.
You know what?
But it could be
I
because
think I know what happened here. Is I think that you actually figured something out that the CDC missed. I think that the CDC
here
probably
you
with
go
their
shilling for these big
well, no, I just honestly I think these
state
the fact that
apparatuses.
hold
Here
on.
you go. Here
First of
you
all, the
go.
fact that these institutions are big is actually a good thing. That's makes it harder
Oh,
and
here
harder
you
for
go.
corruption to take place because that means there are a lot more people holding them accountable.
Bruh.
It's a lot
You
harder to keep
actually
things
think they're the good
under
guys.
wrap, right?
You actually think these giant government state apparatuses are the good guys. They're stomping out corruption, bruh. You actually believe that.
Second of
You
all,
are a complete shill.
you're not able to prove like do you think that
You are literally just begging the government to step on you harder and harder
do you think that
because
maybe
it
like the
owns the cons or
CDC just like
something.
overlooked this and then like you, like Discord user number 553 have like come to like this all-knowing wisdom that like, aha, it's not COVID, it's the fat people that are to blame? Or do you think that maybe like the CDC is right on this one and like you're just a guy who maybe was brainwashed by some like 4chan memes?
I've never been on 4chan, but whatever. I
Wow, I'm
generally don't
surprised.
trust big institutions.
Okay. Well, I wish you best of luck, dude. You know, make sure you're staying inside. Don't go too close to anybody. You might be a super spreader. You might get sick yourself. I don't know, man. But either way,
Don't care.
have fun dying for my freedoms.
Don't care.
Yeah, I know you don't. Why do you?
Cry.
Yeah. Oh,
Just
I'm
cry.
crying so hard.
You're
Meanwhile,
coping in
you're the one that
season right
sounds
now.
super triggered this
I'm
entire combo. But
all right.
all
Goodbye.
right, see you. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How's it going?
It's going good. I hear you're here to give me some very valid criticism that I apparently skipped over.
Well, I'm going to make a point here about something you said. You said that it wasn't cutting corners what they did with Operation Warp Speed, but I mean, according to not just that headline you read, they didn't do animal trials and they didn't do long-term testings of the vaccine. So that is the definition of cutting corners on the vaccine.
No, there were animal trials done too. I'm reading about this right now as you tell this to me because I don't believe a word you're going to say. So, we analyzed the program's vaccine candidates and found that their development followed traditional practices with some adaptations. For example, some clinical trial phases overlapped with each other and with animal studies to accelerate development. So, nice try. Is there anything else?
Overlapped with animal studies on the COVID-19 vaccine?
This fast facts here right here is on Operation Warp Speed, on what it did and how it worked. And it's explaining from gao.gov how it worked. We also found that agencies are working to help mitigate vaccine manufacturing challenges. For example, agencies have taken steps to require contractors to prioritize the vaccine production supplies. So do you have another really good, strong point that I overlooked?
Yeah, I mean, this has only been out for about, I mean, they only did like 6 months worth of clinical trials.
That's not true at all. For mRNA vaccines or just the COVID one specifically?
For the COVID one specifically.
Well, that's also not true, actually. So they've been researching they've been doing vaccine research on just SARS-CoV for a long time. It's my understanding that's been like 50 or 60 years, I think, actually. They've been doing research on that for a long time, and then it kind of all came together as a perfect storm. So there was the SARS-CoV vaccine research that had already been done, mixed in with the fact that the mRNA vaccine had been developed and was ready for use, mixed up with the fact that, hey, here's coronavirus 19. We already have half the vaccine developed and researched. Part of the reason vaccines take so long to begin with to develop a lot of the times is because it takes time to figure out where the virus comes from and how to stop it. But with coronavirus, we already had a vaccine developed for SARS-CoV. It was just SARS-CoV-2 that was unique. So
where's the data where the virus came from? Where's the data on that?
What do you mean? You mean about the China thing?
Yeah, they still haven't. There still hasn't.
Wait,
been a
whoa!
consensus.
Stop. That has nothing to do with anything. We're not talking about anything. We're not talking about
Well,
China
you're
right
just
now.
You're reading Google definitions.
I didn't.
of
I
things.
just explained something to you off the top of my head because I do my research and don't make dumb fuck comments in people's chat and then look like a sniveling, cowering little bitch boy when confronted about it.
You're calling me a cowering little bitch boy? I joined
Yes.
your Discord, and now you're reading me definitions that you.
I'm
just
not
Googled
reading
or
you
something.
definitions. I'm explaining to you the reality of the world that apparently you've overlooked. So now that
So
we've
that last, you
Mhm.
literally were just reading a definition from Google. I saw you do it.
I was reading you some fast facts
and I'm
about
not
this,
so.
and then
yeah,
I was
you're reading me
explaining to
fast
you,
facts.
and then I was explaining to you why the vaccine was developed quickly, and how it was able to come together.
I'm still not sure that there was actually animal trials published. Can you show me the peer-reviewed study on that?
Does it have to be peer reviewed? I don't think that everything needs to be peer reviewed, like articles. Do you know what peer review is and why it's important?
Yeah.
Really?
So
What is it?
so scientists can come to a consensus on is the data correct or not.
Mm-hmm.
You have other peers.
Do you have
review
peer
your work.
reviews for like something as like whether or not animal trials occurred? You probably have peer reviewed studies on the animal trials, but I don't know if you have peer reviewed studies on whether or not animal studies
I think
even
you're just
occurred
kind
in
of
the
taking
beginning.
what I said and you're turning it back on me.
No, I think that you're trying to be extremely disingenuous, and it's obvious. This
It's not
comes from
disingenuous.
yeah, it is. This is Here, I'll send this to you, buddy. Here you go. There you go. You can go read that.
If I were disingenuous, I would have just put a snide little comment in YouTube and not joined your Discord.
No, probably because you didn't want to get banned.
Get banned. I don't care about getting banned. What, from your chat?
Yeah, man, you missed out on all the fun. So what are some other really good reasons now that we've gone through the two dipshit reasons why? What are the next ones? What's the other really good take?
My
that I'm gonna miss?
original point, you said that they did not cut corners, but by very definition, what they did was cut corners.
How is
They
this
didn't
cutting
do-
corners?
Well, okay, you didn't do what you normally would do for every other vaccines. There's usually a
I mean, it sped up
long-term
the
study
process,
done.
but that doesn't mean that it cuts corners. Same with the
What-
FDA.
You're
the
arguing
FDA didn't...
semantics. That's
No,
what the
I'm
left
not.
likes to
You're the
do.
one
It's
arguing
wordplay.
semantics right now. By definitions, cutting corners means that you don't do the full extent of the job in order to get done quicker. That is not what happened
So they
here.
didn't do the full extent of the long-term studies on the virus, which would be cutting corners
How are they
by your
doing
own definition.
the long-term studies on the virus? Do you mean on the vaccine?
Sorry, the vaccine, rather.
What do you they did it for as long as they can. They did
No,
do
they didn't. What do you mean as long as they can?
They did it for as long as they could, considering
No,
that
they rushed it out.
they needed
because
to
they
get it
could have
out
gone
quickly.
3 to 5
Also-
years worth of clinical studies, like
Right,
they
which we
normally do
don't
for
we
every
didn't
other one.
actually need, considering the fact that vaccines don't really usually lead to long-term side effects. Most of them, if they do lead to adverse effects at all, would happen within 15 days to like 2 months.
I'm gonna completely debunk that because there are a lot of side effects of this vaccine. There's 770,000 reports of adverse effects from the vaccine on the VAERS government
I don't
website.
care. VAERS anybody can report on, literally anyone. I right now
Okay.
could go and report and say, I got the vaccine and then I had explosive diarrhea. Fuck you, Pfizer. And that would be counted in that thing. So
Well-
no, citing a VAERS study to me, do you really think that's going to like sway anybody?
Well,
we
there's
all know
10
what
times-
VAERS is, but okay. Do you want to try another
No,
one?
Apparently you don't, but 10 times the amount of data compared to any other year. There's literally 10 times the amount of adverse side effects reported.
That's
But you're
probably because, one, vaccine has been given to way more people in a way shorter amount of time, and two, this is a hyper politicized thing. And like I already said,
so they're all
VAERS
just
can
trolls
call
going on there
with
and
VAERS
they're reporting false information.
Yes,
None
with
of
VAERS
that's
anybody
true.
with VAERS
Even-
anybody can report anything, dude. Those are not at all sound statistics. You can't just flash a VAERS number at me and expect to shock us. It's not
I'm
going to
trying
work.
to shock you. I'm just trying to point out that there's 10 times the data of any other year.
I don't care.
And you're claiming it's all just trolls. That you're just.
I'm not saying it's all just trolls.
You can't just debunk that with saying, "Oh,
No.
well, that's just trolls."
I didn't say they're all just trolls.
And they're not all just. They're not just all.
It's funny too. Now I know.
random
Now I
people.
know for sure that you were being disingenuous, actually, because
I'm not
earlier
being
you
disingenuous.
hold on. Yeah, I do, because earlier you were like, "Do you have anything of peer review?" And now you're citing VAERS at me. It's actually really hilarious because it completely exposes that you are being disingenuous, 100%.
You say that a lot, but I'm not trying to be disingenuous. That was actually just a side note. The original point, like I said, is they cut corners on the vaccine. That was my original
Okay.
argument.
Well, thanks for not proving that at all. I guess you can just do you just like
We
repeat
did
things
prove
over
that
and over
according-
again and try to make
We
them
did
come
prove
true?
that. According to your own definition, we did prove that.
No, we didn't
said-
at all.
You said that. What's your definition of cutting corners?
I said cutting corners would be doing a less than standard procedure
And so they didn't do that with. So they didn't do less than standard
in
with
order to
testing
get
on
it
this
done
vaccine.
quicker. They absolutely
they-
did. They did everything normal with as far as like what Project Warp Speed did. It only worked to collaborate public and private entities to speed it up, and some, like what we're reading right here, some clinical trial phases overlapped with each other and with animal studies to accelerate development. So no, there's no cutting corners here. And
Except
unless
they skip the normal amount of time that they study a vaccine long term.
I don't even know if that's true. Although it's true that they don't have like obviously that long-term studies, considering the vaccine hasn't been out that long, it's also been given to a massive amount of people. We would know by now if there was some kind of adverse effect related to it, and there just doesn't seem to be. Instead, it's overwhelmingly safe, and instead we see statistics showing that the majority of hospitalizations and deaths with COVID are people who are not vaccinated. People who, like you, buy into a lot of delusional bullshit thinking, think that they're right, and then die in their narcissism.
No, I mean, they authorized it for emergency use only, and they were administering it to people. They cut so many corners, it's absurd.
Yep.
And you're trying to argue
It's
that,
funny
no,
because
that's
I
all
like how you
normal.
just keep repeating it because do you think it's just going to make
because
it come true?
you're trying to gloss over the fact that what I said was correct.
Really? What corners did they cut?
They didn't do the standard long-term side effect tests that they normally do.
That has nothing.
for
I don't
every
think
other
that has
vaccine.
anything to do with Project Warp Speed. Wouldn't that have something to do with the FDA and federal?
Project Warp Speed is what they did to push it out quicker, aka cut corners. And you're saying that's not what happened. But that
Yeah,
is
no,
what happened.
I don't. I would not consider that cutting corners. Usually, when you say, "Hey, we got this vaccine,"
According
out...
to your definition,
No,
that's
usually when
cutting
people
corners.
say, nah, usually when people say, "Hey, we cut corners," you imply that in order to get the vaccine made, you have cut corners. Instead, you have all of the proper procedures and the proper studies done. By the way, they did not only peer-reviewed studies, but studies with control groups and the placebo effects and everything necessary to test to the highest standard that this vaccine is safe. And then you're saying, well, no, because after all that, they didn't wait for 4 years to see if somehow people turn into dragons and mutants. So therefore,
what
they
if they
did
get
cut
cancer?
corners.
What if they get cancer?
What?
I mean, there's
So,
another
has-
Pfizer drug for smoking that was causing to stop people from smoking. They didn't know.
Isn't
the
Pfizer a
long-term effect.
pharmaceutical company? Don't they develop a lot of drugs?
You're saying that there's no possibility there could be long-term.
No,
side
I'm
effects.
laughing
They
at
haven't
you for
studied
saying
it.
Pfizer developed an entirely different drug that had the side effect of causing cancer.
That was an
So
example.
maybe the Pfizer vaccine does
That was
also.
a long-term. That was a long-term effect. You don't know what the long-term effects are. That's my point.
Stop digging, Hunter. Throw the towel in. It's getting embarrassing. Keith D, could you please jump into my Discord? I would be more than happy to talk to you. Hey, mods, keep an eye on Keith. And if he doesn't join here in the next 5 minutes, go ahead and ban him permanently. All right, yeah. But great. Yeah,
there's one-
strong, solid point, man. So far, I've been totally convinced not to get the vaccine.
I've got a question, a side question for you.
What's up?
Do you think there's a good reason that the CEO of Pfizer didn't take his own vaccine?
Also, the drug that caused cancer that you brought up wasn't a vaccine at all.
I even said it's unrelated, but also an example of how long-term effects cannot be understood, because they were selling that drug Chantix all over the place. That was just an example. Long-term effects can exist not only in vaccines but any drug they make. And you're saying that's not possible.
No,
well, how would you know that?
That's not what I'm saying. Do you know what the long-term effects of COVID
are? Decreased oxygen levels,
lung disease,
lung disease. There's all kinds of
infertility, small testicles. Some things you might be familiar with.
That really helps your argument, throwing insults.
I know I will throw insults because
I know you.
I think it's hilarious that you're coming on. Hunter, he's lying about the Pfizer guy. He got the vaccine in May. All right, that's what my chat just said. So let me go ahead and look this up really quickly.
Well, there's an article about him not being able to enter an international flight because he's not vaccinated, and he went on to make a public statement on video that he doesn't need it because he doesn't fall in the at-risk group.
All right, so now that we're done, hold on, please. Alice, stop. We're out of Wonderland now, okay? Here's some reality for you. Fact check, Pfizer CEO received his second dose of the COVID vaccine on March 2021. The CEO of Pfizer received his second dose of the COVID-19 vaccine on March 10th. Still, in August 2021, users on social media have referred to an outdated article that states he had to cancel a trip for not being fully vaccinated as if it were new. All right, thank you, Reuters, for this. I'll go ahead and send this over to you. There you go.
Okay, well, there's video of him saying why he didn't get the vaccine.
Sure. So could that have been something old?
Well, there's a possibility.
Okay, cool. So even if he did have some reasons then, he probably didn't have good reasons long term, and now he went on to get the vaccine. So your argument is really just null. Do you have any other good reason? Any other quote good reasons why not to get the vaccine?
We can try to fact check these fact checkers, though. I'll look into it.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, go look it up on DuckDuckGo, see what Alex Jones has to say, and then once you figure things out, then maybe you can come back over here and educate me a little bit.
Sure.
Any other really good reasons why not to get the vaccine? Because so far you've given me 0.
Adverse side effects.
Okay, so there's adverse side effects of hold on. There's adverse side effects of COVID also. Right?
Yeah, but COVID has a 99% recovery rate.
And the likelihood of you dying by the vaccine is less than 1 in 31,000, buddy. So we're actually, no. It's way safer to take the vaccine than risk getting COVID.
We don't know that long term.
Yeah, we kind of do. Because you know what? That's what I was trying to find out, because we were going to look up the long-term things. Let's see.
There isn't any long-term studies.
3 things to know about the long-term side effects of COVID vaccines. In his nearly 30 years studying vaccines, Paul Gopert, MD, director of the Alabama Vaccine Research Clinic at the University of Alabama, has never seen any vaccine as effective as the 3 COVID vaccines. All right, let's see. But what makes vaccine experts confident that COVID vaccines are safe in the long term? There are several reasons why.
They don't have long-term studies. It hasn't been out long-term.
But there are reasons why.
Define long-term for me.
No. We don't actually we might not need these quote-unquote long-term studies, because it sounds like we already have an understanding of the fact that usually the adverse side effects come on pretty quickly, and looking at this like 5 years down the road is probably unnecessary.
Where are you getting this? Usually they come on quickly.
I'm trying to read you
other drugs.
I don't care
I give
about
you an example of one.
I don't care. I know that there are some drugs that can cause long effects. Can you let me read this and it'll explain this all, okay? So listen, it says, let's see. We already know enough that to be confident that the COVID vaccines are safe. Here's why. Starting with the way vaccines work and continuing through strong evidence from vaccine history and the even stronger evidence from the responses of people who've received COVID-19 vaccines worldwide. Unlike many medications, which are taken daily, probably the one you were going to cite to me, vaccines are generally one and done. Medicines you take every day can cause side effects that reveal themselves over time. Vaccines are just designed to deliver a payload and then are quickly eliminated by the body.
This one's not one and done, though.
this-
They're talking about taking 3 vaccines and booster shots.
Well, no, they're
It's not
talking
one
actually
and
right
done.
here. Just to be clear,
It's not the normal vaccine that you
no,
used to
taking
get.
1 or 2 vaccines and then a booster is actually entirely normal, and it also clarifies that with 2 vaccines, it's the same as well. So, they say this is particularly true of the mRNA vaccines. mRNA degrades incredibly rapidly. You wouldn't expect any of these vaccines to have any long-term side effects, and in fact, this has never occurred with any vaccine. So I'm probably going to trust the 30-year vaccine professional, no offense, over your opinion.
I
But
mean, you're just reading the article you wrote, and you're making an argument from authority.
I'm not making an argument from authority.
Yes, yes, it is.
Okay, you know what? Let me back up. I'm citing authority.
This title, that's an argument from authority. You're saying,
Buddy.
well, he holds this title, so
No.
argument is his information is more valid than yours.
Oh,
And that
yeah,
may be the
absolutely.
case-
That's true.
that may
That's
be
not
the
a that's
case
not
in
a
some-
fallacy if you're trying to make it sound like one.
That may be the
This
case
is
in
actually
some
a
examples.
justified argument from authority because I don't have the authority to know this, but this guy obviously does. And so I'm going to, read his opinion on that, and that's going to be kind of where I have to form my opinion from, because I don't know how you do it, but like I can't just go off like gut feeling,
No, I mean I read articles, I watch videos. I don't. Just
Apparently, you read a lot of articles from like Infowars.com and stuff.
I don't just go and Google mid-argument a headline and read someone.
This actually isn't Google
read someone an
mid-argument. I have it
excerpt.
right here on my stream that this is in my notes for arguing with anti-vaxxers. And I have the little quote here and the article so that I can cite it quickly so that when I'm talking to people like you and you say, do you have a source for that? Huh? Then I can go ahead and send it over to you.
You're labeling me as anti-vaxxer, but I've had plenty of vaccines. I just don't want to take one that's not studied long-term.
Okay.
You don't know what the side effects are. But
Okay.
you can keep hurling insults and
It's not
assuming
hurling
things.
insults. It's just
Yes,
hilarious.
it is.
Like,
You just called me anti-vaxxer, but I've had several vaccines in my life.
I
You
didn't
don't
just
know
call
me.
you anti-vaxxer.
You
I
did-
said that these are my anti-vax notes. My
Okay,
notes
and
for
you're applying them to me. Therefore,
my notes for
insinuating I'm
arguing
anti-vax.
against vax arguments, buddy. Come on.
All right, have fun with your fact-checking fake news headline articles.
Okay.
Have-
Yeah. And
have
have
a good
fun.
day,
Have
sir.
fun with the tinfoil hat. I'll send one over to you. Okay. What you're saying right now is just a bunch of brain dead stuff. If you're against getting tracked or whatever, I don't like how Australia's doing that. Okay. But if you're against that shit, get vaccinated. Honestly, the fact that we have a private company that is developing this vaccine and then has to go through a government body in order to have that approved, all the incentives are there to make the most effective vaccine.
I get you. So
So it's brain dead to not
let's-
get the vaccine. That is my thesis, and thus far it has been solidly proven.
You know about Dr. Malone, right? The creator of the mRNA vaccine?
Not really, don't really care about that person, but sure.
No. Robert Malone, the creator of the mRNA vaccine, has said that natural immunity is better.
So what should be
He
okay? Cool. So let's assume that he actually said that 100%. I don't know if that's true, but I'll go ahead and just give that to you and assume you're right. If he said that natural immunity is better, then what's the solution there? Everyone should just get COVID?
We should go Sweden mode. We shouldn't enact shit. We should just let it run its course because it's endemic. It is endemic. It was either
Gotcha.
made.
Okay,
with-
cool. So your solution is more people die, and then in hopes that some people who don't die build up natural immunity. Do you see why this is all so fucking brain dead? This is
No.
yes,
It's
I'm
not
talking to a
allowing
bot
people
right
to
now.
die.
This is brain dead bullshit. You're telling me right now that the better route would be to have more people get the virus, potentially die, risk long-term effects, because building up natural immunity is actually better, said one guy. Do you see why I call you brain dead? Why?
The
This is
creator
also
of the
brain-
mRNA vaccine. The creator of the vaccine. The technology that they're using, the mRNA vaccine. The creator.
I don't care. Just if someone creates
Why do
something
you
doesn't,
not care about that?
because
That's really significant.
because it doesn't mean anything. Your solution is to let people get COVID.
But look at how it's going in other countries where they haven't implemented lockdown, like Sweden. It's very.
We don't know
it's
Sweden's
comparable.
full rates. We don't know if they even counted those numbers correctly. And also, there are less older people in Sweden. There's also a significantly lower population in Sweden. You have a much larger risk here in the States.
So let's look at what's going on in the States.
No,
then.
don't you have your... I don't want you to be late for your client meeting, honestly, and I've already lost enough brain cells here. This is why I call you people, you anti-vax people, fucking brain dead, is because you kind of come on first with this, well, I'm skeptical, I just have questions. No, fuck you. Every question you have is a conspiracy playing into misinformation or just blatant fucking falsehoods. It is, at the end of the day, brain dead nonsense not to get the vaccine. I appreciate you playing defense for the brain dead. I'm starting to think you might be brain dead yourself. Either way, thank you very much for coming on. Okay, buddy?
At the end of this life, just remember, you could have taken a stand against this.
Okay, sure. I'll remember that when I'm standing before God Almighty or whatever. I don't know. What other fairy tales do you believe in? Do you want to talk about it? Is the Tooth Fairy coming
changed a
tonight?
lot,
Maybe
man.
Santa
You've
Claus is coming
changed.
down. I think so.
What's
hold on.
Fuck you, dude. Fuck you.
I just heard Rudolph. There's another fairy tale for you to believe in.
No.
Yeah,
What
go
we're going
fuck
through is
yourself, dude.
biblical.
And stop playing
There is
defense for a bunch of
biblical.
anti-vax
This is
bullshit, all right?
biblical.
You're brain
The
dead.
World Economic-
Fuck that guy. I do not care. Like I said, I'll be mean to these people. These people are fucking stupid. And they do a net harm to society and the world. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you get notified when I drop a new video.